Just got renewed for season 2. They started shooting season 2. Well, when Dave recommends somebody, I just got to listen. And that's why he recommended Jay. Jay Bachochin is here as well. Also an investigative, paranormal investigator and author with a particular, I'd say, fascination, or would you say obsession, Jay, with Bigfoot. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, would you say obsession? Is that correct?
Yes, definitely an obsession. I would agree. And I like the way you're kind of leading into exactly what I do. It's almost embarrassing to talk about, isn't it?
No, because I was a skeptic before I was a believer in anything, and you had quite an encounter that your entire family witnessed. I would love you to share that with the listeners, because it takes an experience to get you to become a believer. I could have someone talk until I'm blue in the face, but until I got goosed by a ghost in a basement of a tavern that was haunted, I didn't believe that it was possible, right? So you have to get that actual physical, or, I've interviewed so many people who've died and had near-death experiences, and they were in the light, and then they've come back. I'm going to believe what they say about what happens on the other side more than what I think, because they've been there. I haven't, and you've experienced some stuff, Jay, that I haven't. So I'm fascinated to hear your story. So will you share with the listeners what happened when you were very young that kind of got you really peaked for all this?
Well, yeah, actually, definitely. When I was younger, it was more, I wouldn't even say it was ghost related, but it was, I had to have been about 8 or 9 years old. And I was actually next door with a neighbor at that time. Star Wars was out. We were playing some Star Wars figures. It was a bright, sunny day up in his room by the window. And all of a sudden, everything went black for about 5 seconds. I remember that. Mm-hmm. And we're talking if you close your eyes black. And
was it like an eclipse, or it just happened?
No, that's what I mean. Is an eclipse, at least everything would be dark, and you would still be able to make out your surroundings, but it would be darker. Mm-hmm. In this case, it would be like if you closed your eyes and it was pure black for about 5 seconds. Oof. And then all of a sudden, my friend looked at me and he goes, "Did everything just go black?" Mm-hmm. And again, we were 8 or 9 years old at the time, but that would be the bizarre part of it, because if one person experienced it, maybe it's a mental issue, or health-wise or something. But when two people experience that, mm-hmm. It's pretty fascinating to me. So that kind of set me on my journey for the unknown.
But then what happened with your brother, your sister, and your mother in Lindenhurst, good old Lindenhurst, Illinois?
Yeah, you know that one. Mm-hmm. So this is the same area, and this is like a couple years later. I don't know if anybody remembers the good old grade school teen canteens out there on Friday nights, but my mom was coming home with my sister on a Friday night, and we were home, but my sister comes running in the house saying, we're being invaded, and she's crying. And my mom comes in, she goes, "You got to come out and check this out." And this is in Lindenhurst. It was called Seven Hills at the time, mm-hmm. where we actually walked out, and a perfectly dark night sky, but you can see these lights just spinning. But it was going real slow, and it was hovering. And my mom said she followed it all the way from a grade school back to our house, and we're watching this thing hover. And all of a sudden, the lights would go out, and within a second, it was across the lake that we were near, doing the same thing, hovering and spinning, and it would just slowly move. It would go, the lights would go out, and mm-hmm. it would be right back to almost where we were, and we'd watch this, and it was low flying. It was bizarre. It was like 5 of us that watched it. It was crazy.
Wow. So it got you down this road, and now your obsession, the Wisconsin Sasquatch, which I didn't even know was a thing, but since 2013, you've been looking into that, as well as Dogman. Is that the same? Are they the same or separate, Dogman and the Wisconsin Sasquatch?
You know what? The jury's still out on that one.
Okay.
Let me tell you that, as growing up after seeing the UFO, mm-hmm. my grandfather was an early chapter of MUFON in Chicago. He kind of set me on a path. He was kind of like the early version of Fox Mulder. Mm-hmm. And so he was discovering, wanting to know the truth. And the more we talked, he kind of set me on that path. So going through life, seeing, the ghost stories, you'd read about them, see the horror stories, the creature features, all these things ended up to where I was investigating ghosts, kind of like Dave Schrader.
Sure.
From like 2007 to like 2013-ish in that area. And you know what? I never really got 100% close with exactly identifying what a ghost is, only what we've been taught.
Sure.
And I think it was just one night being in the Kettle Moraine, we were looking for the creature known as the Beast of Bray Road. That's right up here in Elkhorn. It's a hop, skip, and a jump from my house, and I figured, why not go down there? But we kept going beyond Bray Road, and we ended up in the Kettle Moraine, and there were four of us that night that we were kind of walking out there. I had my infrared camera going, and we heard what sounded so much like a primate. Like it was the most bizarre thing. I've never heard it before. And I was able to capture one good clip of it with everything that was going on around me. And we were never able to find a match with any soundboards of any indigenous animals here in southeast Wisconsin. And at that point, that kind of shifted the turn for me with investigating ghosts to what is out here in these woods. Because really, when it comes down to Bigfoot, it's almost embarrassing to say, right? I mean, Bigfoot is a unicorn, a leprechaun, a fairy. It's
like Loch Ness. Yeah, no, believe me, I hear you. But when you experience something, and I've seen some clips, Jay, if you're just joining us, Jay Bachochin is an investigator of the paranormal and currently the Wisconsin Sasquatch and Dogman. Might be the same, might not. But you guys were there, and then this giant boulder, I mean, it wasn't just a pebble that was thrown. It was like a rock that could have killed you landed. I mean, that took like incredible strength, right?
Oh, yes. I mean, I don't even think we have enough time to cover all those, but there are times that when after we heard these vocals out there, I wanted to reinvest in that and go back out there. And as I did, I've come across 17.5-inch footprints in the middle of nowhere, 12 of them with a 53-inch span, a stride, and a tightrope gait that is just like, how do you hoax something coming down a hill without any drag marks and real deep impressions? Again, that just helped me to further go on. And that same year, in that fall, we're in the same area, and I'm walking with another friend. We're just walking the trails, and all of a sudden we get pelted by pebbles or by rocks from out in the woods. And here's the bizarre thing about it, because a lot of people could say, Jay, Bigfoot doesn't exist, and somebody is just messing with you by throwing stones. But I'll tell you, if you've ever been to the Kettle Moraine, it's thick, it's dense, the terrain is, it's a real crazy terrain out there, meaning how can somebody throw a rock through all that and always land by your feet? It's incredible. And
so then I ask you this, Jay, because, go ahead. Yeah. The best part of it. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say the best part is I was recording the whole time, the whole event. I mean, everything from the beginning to the end that, something was throwing stones from out there. And if you're a big believer in Bigfoot, it was Bigfoot. If you're a total skeptic, it was just a person. But I can't help but to say, the accuracy of every single throw was spot on.
So then I would ask you is if, having been to so many paranormal investigations of ghosts and things that go bump in the night and gosh knows what else, portals, you name it, right? Could there be something in the woods of Wisconsin that's not a Bigfoot, but although you did find those incredibly huge footprints, but what if there's just a dark energy? I mean, I've been in woods before in upstate New York and in areas that are supposed to be very spiritual, but there's just some darkness, right? There, I mean, I'm not kidding when I say I was attacked by a bird. It came flying down and it wanted blood from my head. I've never experienced anything like that. In the woods, very scary. Could this just be something like that?
Well, 100%. The one thing I don't do is I don't put Bigfoot in a box, just like you don't put baby in a corner.
Yeah.
I don't just put that in one area, ghost in another box, aliens in another box, because honestly, one of the big questions is really whether Bigfoot exists or not, really, what is a Bigfoot? If people are finding this evidence and experiencing this, you would say, there it is, but where is it? Okay. And in that case, are we talking now about quantum physics? And that could actually lead into the whole aliens, ghosts. We have seen orbs of light out in those woods as well. And
sure.
They kind of zip through the top of the trees. And I was lucky enough, again, to capture one off my body cam that just kind of blew us away. And so, again, you're 100% right. You could say, is there other energy out there? And I believe that. That's why my research and my investigating out there is not done. And I don't know if it'll ever be done or how close I can get to an answer, but I'm going to keep trying.
You have to. And that's what I think is so great. Finding Jay. You can watch the official trailer. If you just Google Finding Jay, it'll pop up, or you can go to Jay's website, jbachochin.com. You spell that BACHOCHIN.com. And, it's just really, really cool. I could spend hours on your website, which I almost did today. But your quote that I love, question everything. Don't just accept an answer. Go out and hunt the truth. And that is the thing. I'm a skeptic first. I want proof. And as you mentioned, Jay, you had video, you have audio. We have more ways than ever now to catch something that can be true. Back to, the first sighting of a Bigfoot and that film, right? That we all know the film, that we've all seen it a million times, of the creature walking out and looking over to the camera. Well, we have come such a long way with our capacity to capture things, both digitally with the infrared, with the EVPs. So for people to say that this isn't happening, they're just completely putting their head in the sand, and they are in denial. And that part is unfortunate. But what they're seeing, that's what we are trying to discern. And I appreciate, Jay, that you do this and you put your efforts in to keep digging. So let's have you back, and we'll maybe take some questions from the listeners once we get back into the studio and I'm not broadcasting from my living room. How does that sound?
No, that definitely sounds great. And that's my only piece of advice that I give everybody, is that I'm not going to try to prove it to you. Go out and discover for yourself.
That's right. We could all use a little trip to the southeast Wisconsin in the woods. Or which area of woods are you specifically thinking you have seen and felt and heard the Sasquatch? Exactly. For those who are curious.
Well, it's up in the Kettle Moraine area, which
Kettle Moraine. Okay.
Yeah, it stretches up about 150 miles through the state of Wisconsin, and there's sightings not just down here, they're everywhere. And if people are a little open to it and go out and discover for themselves, I bet you they'd be a little surprised.
Oh, please. I've written 4 books about it, Jay. You and I both are, we've seen some stuff that we can't explain, and I say that all the time. I'm not telling anyone what to believe. I'm just presenting the evidence. You decide for yourself. So here's to you.
It almost sounds like you want to maybe go out on one night. I could take you out and take you to a few of my hot spots.
As long as it's not snowing sideways, I'm totally in. That's my one rule. It can't be 14 degrees or snowing sideways. And the further north you go, the colder it gets. But I think...
I'm not that far. Okay. Yeah, I'm just a hop, skip, and a jump behind the cheddar curtain here.
All right, so, perfect.
We're good.
Yes, and we can bring sharp cheddar cheese. That is totally allowed. Jay, thank you so much for all your research, and we will be back with you, I'm sure, in a couple weeks checking in. We got to get a little break and information, and then we are back before the news. Don't go anywhere. It's the Jen Weigel Show.